I don't normally get visits from former students.
I needed to tell you how sorry I am for, about what happened.
Sorry, let me just answer that. Hello? What? Wait, slow down. Oh, my God, that's horrible. Is he...
Everything okay?
Someone just assaulted our vice principal in the parking lot.
No, Benson.
Oh my God!
No,
What are you?
put it
What
away.
are you doing?
This isn't what you want. You don't know me! Why are you doing this?
Because, Randy, I have been watching you. You are 20 years old, and you are already more pathetic than every person in this godforsaken town, and that bugs me. But there's something about you. There's something fixable. I mean, hell, when you were standing there, watching me, waiting for me to kill you. That was the only thing I believed. And if I'm gonna help you, then I can't have you getting in my way. Because it forces me to hurt you. I need you to work with me, not against me.
Don't do this.
I'm doing this for your own good. We square.
We're square.
Yeah, sure.
I have to be honest, I watched the movie last night and I liked it.
Nice.
I
Good to
thought it
hear.
Great casting, great acting, well timed, well written. I mean, it really is a good movie.
Thank you.
Right. So how did you come across the script?
You know, Jack Stanley is a writer that I had read some of his previous work, some of his other scripts, and always kind of really loved what he was doing. And so when I started talking to Blumhouse about doing this, I sort of asked them if I could, you know, if they would be open to me looking for a script to bring to them that would fit the model of this sort of streaming production setup that they do. And so I went to Jack and said, you know, do you have anything that might fit within this model? Like, you know, the budget is X, you know, roughly this much, you know, the cast has to be, you know, fairly contained, like, and he pulled out The Passenger, which was, you know, a script, one of his early scripts that he had written that he just kind of tucked away in a drawer. And it ended up being like a perfect fit.
Right, that's a little great twist of fate there.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of the casting, how did you go about finding the ideal stars for the roles?
You know, I had been a huge fan of Kyle Gallner, you know, for a while. And I knew that that Benson had to be someone that, like, he's like batshit bonkers crazy, but also like he has to be incredibly charismatic and charming and kind of someone that you like it or not, that you want to spend time with. And he sort of has this amazing mix of both of those things. And then Johnny Berchtold, who plays Randy, like, you know, he sent in his very first self-tape was just like spot on. Like, I watched it the very first time and I was like, that's Randy. Like, you know, it was one of those things where it was exactly everything made sense with, you know, especially with the two of them together. Like, I thought that they would work so well together.
Right. And, they are great for their roles. And I love that, that thin line between charismatic and crazy.
Yeah.
And he definitely is off his rocker. But the emotion that they both give off is just, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
It's
it's what I fell in love with when I first read the script, was the idea that this crazy, intimate friendship could somehow like come to life under these horrific circumstances. Like it's not the type of story where you expect to sort of get so emotionally involved with how these two are relating to each other, especially after what happens in the beginning of the film. Like it's so horrific. And that was always really interesting to me, like figuring out how to, sort of create them as or sort of tell a story of this kind of friendship rather than just like, a villain, taking someone hostage. Like that is a lot less interesting to me.
right. And the script may have been written, previously, but the timing of it is perfect with, the things that are going on with the country now. And the film is believable. I mean, like you could actually see this happening.
Yeah.
And that adds, so much to the film.
Yeah, it's definitely a grounded story. It's very, there was never a moment when anything felt like it needed to be, larger than life or, exact. Like it's very, hopefully very, very grounded and real.
And what do you think drives, the Kyle's role? I mean, what do you think is really behind all of that anger?
I mean, I think that a lifetime of not having, access to mental health care, like, positive influences, like, adult, like, I think that there are so many things, I think that he's probably the victim of abuse and trauma and like had never had any capacity or ability to deal with any of it. And so it kind of gets locked away. And, I think that that's how tragedies happen, when people aren't, don't have the tools and don't have the, the, whether it's, the tools or the resources to actually deal with this stuff that they may have gone through, like that, can have horrific consequences.
Right. And when it comes to Johnny, his character, where did he get all that emotion from? Because I mean, that stuff felt real.
Yeah, he is one of those actors that you can literally say like, cry now, and he'll be like, which eye, which eye do you want the tear to come out of, and like at what line do you want the tear to come, like he is that precise and sort of incredible. I was amazed that that he was able to do. I mean, and I think it was only like one scene when there was one tear, and it was like the second take, and I was like, oh my god, the tear, like it falls on the same exact line. A third take, again, I was like, Johnny, like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know, but it's like magic. So like, I don't ask him how. I just like enjoy the, the sort of the magic of it.
Yeah, he is incredibly talented.
Yeah.
What are you hoping that the viewers take away from the film?
I mean, I hope. Yeah, I mean, I hope that people are see a character like Benson and see that, like, for him, it didn't have to. This didn't have to be the story that he ended up at the center of. Like, if, like I said before, like if somewhere along the way he had access to mental health care, or, I mean, just so many things you know, it could have been avoided what happens here. And I think that, you know, anyone who sees a little bit of that character in someone in their life, like, I mean, I hope it just helps to open people's eyes to kind of see that, you know, yes, people can do horrible things, and that doesn't necessarily have to be the one and only thing that defines them. Like that sort of comes from a place of, you know, I mean, I don't know where it comes from, but it's worth asking the question, where does it come from? Because for everybody, it's different, you know?
Right. And I can't wait to be able to talk about it with our readers, because it's very powerful, and it feels so real. Like this could, you know, happen to, you know, some kid lives next door.
Yeah.
And I think that's a beautiful thing, that you can get into a film that deep, you know, and you feel for these two guys, and they're so different. It's just something that makes them come together.
Yeah. Well, and I think that for a lot of people, you can probably see yourself a little bit in one of them, or one or the other. You can see bits of yourself. I mean, I definitely saw myself in Randy, like you know, and you know, being someone that wants to fade into the background and wants to kind of disappear and you know, kind of go down the easiest path of least resistance, like especially in high school. Like, okay, I'm just going to put my head down, get through this, and make it to, you know, wherever I'm going to end up, because this is not fun. And you know, I think that there's a lot of people, a lot of different types of people that can probably see themselves in one of these characters.
Right. I can definitely see myself in actually both of them.
Yeah.
So you know, I understand that, and I think it's wonderful. I have to ask, how did you go from being a photographer for things like Vogue and GQ to
Yeah.
filmmaker?
I mean, I had always wanted to make films, and I sort of had, you know, I wound up as a photographer. I mean, I also wanted to take pictures and be a photographer, and that just kind of took off in a way that took off sort of faster and bigger and stronger than I expected. And sort of fast forward, I was doing it for like 10, 15 years, and realized that I had like, I was like, I want to make films. Like I haven't done it yet. What am I doing? And so I made a short film that ended up winning best short film at Sundance. And so, which obviously opens, it's kind of like the best case first time filmmaker scenario. Like it doesn't get any more exciting than that. And, you know, it opened a lot of doors, and I got a lot, that's how I got the opportunity to work on The Ruins. And, you know, so I kind of bounced back and forth between the two worlds for a while. And now I'm sort of, you know, spending more time making films. But it's actually, it's a very kind of, you know, there's a lot in common between, you know, the two stills and film. I mean, you know, I think telling stories with film is much more exciting to me. I think that with photography, often you're selling clothes, or you're selling makeup or hair care, or, you know, whatever, jewelry, like whatever it is, it's very much like you work in advertising. And while that sometimes is true in film as well, like I think that like telling fully immersive stories is much more exciting than, you know, creating a picture that someone flips past on their phone in like, you know, a half a second.
Right. And speaking of The Ruins, I liked that movie too. It was so different. We hadn't gotten a whole lot of films like that. I mean, the thought of the mimicking vines and the old world, and it was creepy as hell, to be honest. Especially with the egg thing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But it was great. Where was that filmed at? Was that on location or a set?
Yeah. No, we that was filmed in Australia. We built that Mayan ruin.
Wow.
That was not a ruin that existed. We built that for the film, and shot the whole thing there outside. You know, that wasn't on a stage. It was outside in the middle of the mountains.
Wow, that is so cool.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. do you still, how do you feel today about that legacy?
What, the
About
ruins or the?
ruins and doing something so different now with The Passenger?
Yeah, I mean, I love the ruins. It's a film that I loved it from the first time that I read the book that it's based on. Every step of the way, like you know, I was in love with it, and I think that it's like, as a first film, yeah, I'm so proud of it, and I love the fact that now, like 10 years later, maybe, I think it's even more than 10 years later, like I'm finally hearing from people who are like, "Oh, I love it," because like when it came out, nobody really cared. Like it was, it was like post Turistas, and sort of like it kind of got lumped together with a bunch of films that people didn't like. And so it's only now that I'm actually hearing from people who are like, really love the film. And of course, that's always exciting, because it's like, where were you when it came out? Like, you know, but people like it now. So that's good enough for me.